Good morning and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Thursday, August 27th. Let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are higher by 0.42%. It's really benefiting on last night's earnings report side. That NVIDIA report was good. I mean, it wasn't stellar, but, they gave their guidance for 2028, and that was extremely strong. So, it's moving higher. So that's really what's helping the market today. Is the positive action in tech shares. It should be noted that the Trump administration is talking or thinking about a new round of tariffs on semiconductors. What else we got? Oil prices trading a little higher today. There's elevated concerns over Russia. I'll get into that more in a minute. Key economic data point for today is the jobless claims, which is due out before the opening bell. In corporate news, Dollar Tree, DLTR, same-store sales, 3.3% increase in average ticket. And they did say they're planning on opening, about 400 new stores this year. That's positive. Wendy's, WEN, trading lower. Nelson Perez, his Trian fund, they indicated that they have no plans to make a bid for the company. That's causing some real weakness in the shares this morning. We got UNM, Uncle Nancy Mary, Unum Group. They authorized a $1 billion share buyback. Trump administration has struck data sharing deals with OpenAI, Google, Meta, Amazon, and other tech companies to track AI hiring, how it's affecting jobs. On the earnings front, we're seeing gains in NVIDIA, in Salesforce.com, CrowdStrike, OKTA, Everpure, and Dollar General. They're all higher, while BBW, Dollar DLTR and SNPS are trading lower. This afternoon, we got Marvel, Autodesk, Workday, Affirm, Ultra Beauty, and Elastic ESTC. They're all scheduled to report. And tomorrow morning, you got MNSO, Michael Nancy Sam Oscar, scheduled to report. Looking over at Germany, the DAX is up 0.42%, supported by tech stocks. The FTSE, on the other hand, is trading lower, down 0.34%, due to weakness in mining and commodity-related stocks. Remember, that index is heavily weighted on resources, and those commodities are causing some weakness there this morning. But you look at the CAC in Paris, that's down 0.94%. It was down over 1%. With weakness in luxury stocks, and the attention is really turning, and the CAC is really turning to tomorrow because they're expecting to get a credit rating update from one of the major agencies. Now, you're walking into a period where you're dealing with political uncertainty, slower growth, higher inflation, rising unemployment. These are all likely factors into the assessment, so it's not going to be, positive. I think they'll hold hold status quo, but a negative downtick on the credit rating downgrade would really affect that market. Looking over at Asia last night, it was a mixed bag. You got tech issues, you got financial concerns. You look at the Nikkei, it fell 0.2%. Financial stocks rose on interest rate expectations, because remember, they're expected to raise rates next month. Autos and tech names delivered mixed performance. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng fell 0.34%, basically due to the economic data out of China. Now, China, on the other hand, that index rose 1.13%. I mean, it was supported by expectations of pending stimulus action after industrial profits rose 17.6% year over year for the first 7 months of the year. On paper, that looks positive. However, it was a deceleration from the 18.7% pace that was seen in the January through June period. So, while positive and still strong, it was a downtick from the previous report. As a result, markets are now expecting another round of fiscal or monetary stimulus. And what did we see? We saw positive action in semiconductors in the Shanghai market. So overall, the market rose 1.13%. That's positive. Now we're getting into oil, and oil is trading higher. You got WTI at $82.46 a barrel. You got Brent at $88.39 a barrel. Now there's two divergent themes. One is the improving prospects for traffic through the Strait of Hormuz after Iran and Oman, said they reached an agreement to manage the traffic flow. But on the other hand, Russia, which is currently being hurt by Ukrainian drone strikes on its oil facilities, said that they may target British facilities due to their continued support of Ukraine. So, yeah, mixed bag there. We've got to keep an eye on it. And yesterday, the EIA edged up, the inventory report was higher by 95,000 barrels for the week ending August 21, which was, below expectations of a 600,000 barrel build, but still a build is a build. In terms of earnings news, listen, we got to start off with NVIDIA. Stocks trading higher by 6.64%. They beat by 13 cents on higher revenue. Salesforce is a big winner. I mean, that's up over 10%. And they beat by $1.02 on higher revenue. Then you have CRWD, which is CrowdStrike. That stock is showing a gain of 8.65%. They beat by 2 cents on higher revenue. Upcoming after the bell today, you got Marvel, MRVL, Michael, Richard, Victor, Larry. Their EPS is 93 cents. Expected move is 10.32%. You got Autodesk, ADSK. EPS is $3.13. Expected move is 8.16%. And Ultra Beauty, ULTA, their EPS is $6.20. And expected move is 9.07% on their report. In terms of economic reports, 8:30 a.m., we got 3 reports. International trades in goods and services, jobless claims, and retail inventories. Jobless claims are going to be the key one coming out. In terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Apple, yesterday announced that its annual iPhone event is scheduled for September 9th. Stock typically runs hot into that event and kind of cools after announcements are made. Amazon and NVIDIA announced an expansion of their relationship. AWS is planning to deploy 2 million additional NVIDIA GPUs. Google's reassigning members of its DeepMind division next week. The unit's going to be joining Google's Global Affairs organization, apparently. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, Amazon and Google, Labor Department signed, data sharing deals with these tech giants, trying to find out what's happening with the AI advancements on jobs. NVIDIA agreed to acquire open source AI platform Hugging Face for $12.9 billion. Salesforce, multiple price targets this morning. Price hikes are being raised as it deepens its size with AI Lab Anthropic. In terms of guidance news, Salesforce CRM sees Q3 EPS $3.42 to $3.44. Street estimates $3.37. That's an uptick. CrowdStrike sees a Q3 EPS coming in at 31 cents. That matches the street estimate, so that's kind of negative. Everpure, ticker P, they see Q3 revenue coming in $1.325 billion to $1.335 billion, where the street estimate is $1.13 billion. That's a definite uptick. Ticker P, Everpure. In terms of buyback news, Unum Group, ticker UNM, their board authorized a $1 billion share repurchasing program. In terms of catalyst calls, SNPS, Citibank's reiterating the buy ahead of the Investors Day, calls it the next catalyst. And yesterday they did put out a 90-day upside catalyst on Oracle, calling the historic sell-off an opportunity. All right, let's move on into today's pick of the day. I'm going to go with RBRK, Richard Boy, Richard Kilo. This is Rubik. Earnings are out after the bell. EPS is 4 cents. Expected move is 12.90%. Call volume yesterday was 3,731 versus 1,082 on the put side. That's a put-to-call ratio of 0.29, positive. Open interest is 84,581 versus 19,770. That's very positive. Major brokers are raising price targets. Issue I have is it's up 5%. I think that will pull back when the market opens. So I'm trying to get in, and I know this is I'm trying to get in around $99. I think that's a possible entry point. So look for an entry point around 99 RBRK. But that's my pick of the day, Rubik. Okay, let's move on to hot off the press. See what stories we have hidden the tape this morning. See if we see anything hot happening. NVIDIA expects revenue to grow by approximately 70% in full year 2028. That's that's so much higher than what the street was expecting. I think the street was expecting almost less than half of that, like 40%. OKTA spike tied to chatter of earnings leak. No negotiations happening now with Iran. Best Buy raises its full year 2027 same-store sales view higher. It was 1%. Now it's 1.9 to 3%. NYSE Texas opens headquarters in Old Parkland, Dallas. Qatar and Iran discuss a pact for joint Hormuz mine clearing project. President Trump just said there are no mines. Moderna down 6% after their convertible note offering. Alibaba to spend 60% of its capital raise on global computing infrastructure. That's all I'm seeing this morning. Okay, now we're going to take a look at yesterday's pick of the day, which was Best Buy. And, listen, the trade worked out. It made money in it, early on. It was a good trade. The stock opened up at $85.19. Then it fell down to $84.38. Now, I said under 85, so under 85 definitely happened. And then it rallied and it hit a high of $88.39 before closing at $87.44. So either way, that 1% was there during the trading day, whether you got in my entry price or the opening price. The stock is trading a little lower this morning. It's trading 82 actually, but I made my 1% yesterday. I didn't have to hold it. Made my money, happy, walked away with a good gain. So BBY was a winner. All right, traders, that concludes today's NewsWare's Trade Talk podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.